So after studying this module, you shall be able to evaluate the precision of the OLS estimators. You shall also know how to improve this precision. We would also try to learn about the measure or about how to measure the goodness of fit of regression equation using the standard error of estimate. We would also learn about the goodness of fit of the regression equation using the coefficient of determination. Let us now introduce the subject. So far, we have studied that the regression line is the line of best fit. It fits into the data in such a manner that the scatter of data points, which means the points between x and y coordinates, from it is the least. In fact, we have seen that under the OLS technique of estimation of regression line, we try to minimize the sum of the squares of the deviations of actual value of the dependent variable from its expected or estimated value, or in other words, we minimize the sum of the residuals or the sum of the squares of the residuals. Also, we are aware the objective of the regression line is to obtain the sample regression function, which is SRF, and use it to predict the population regression function or PRF. For this, we need to know how good is the line of best fit, or in other words, we want the sample intercept and the slope estimators to be as close as possible to the population intercept and slope values, known as the slope coefficients and also known as parameters. Therefore, in this module, we would try to determine the precision of OLS estimators and find out the goodness of fit of the regression line using the concept of standard error of estimate and the coefficient of determination. So what is the precision of OLS estimators? How do we find it out? Let us look in this 3.1 first of all about the standard error of regression coefficients. The standard error, or abbreviated as SE, of the OLS estimator is the square root of its variance and is a measure of its precision. Going by the definition of variance, it is the scatter or dispersion of a random variable about its mean. The smaller this scatter, the higher would be the precision, or vice versa. As we have already read in the previous module, the variance of the slope term is given by variance of B1 is equal to expected value of B1 minus beta 1 whole square. Now this is equal to sigma square upon summation of xi square, where xi is small xi, which is the deviation of the capital Xi or the variate xi from its mean. This is our equation 1. Therefore, we can say that the standard error of B1 will be equal to sigma upon under root of summation xi square. We can denote this as equation 2. Similarly, it can be shown that the variance of the intercept term, which we have denoted as B0, will be equal to variance of B0 is equal to expected value of B0 minus beta 0 whole square. This I am sure you would recollect we have calculated is equal to summation xi square upon n summation xi square, small xi square, into sigma square. This is our equation 3. In a way, I may remind you that this is nothing but equal to summation xi square by n into the variance of B1. Now from this we can find out that the standard error of B0 therefore will be equal to the square root of the term which we have denoted in 3, and therefore is equal to summation xi square divided by n summation small xi square into sigma, and xi, let me repeat, this small xi is equal to xi minus x bar. We can denote this entire formula as our fourth equation. Now very clearly, if you look at the equation 4, it confirms that larger the sample size, lower is the standard error, because we have n, which is the sample size, in the denominator, and higher the x values, that is the size of the independent variable, is large, then you will find that the summation xi square, which is in the numerator, would also be large. But you will find that summation small xi square will always be smaller than summation capital Xi square, because the mean has been subtracted from the first term, the former term, which is summation small xi square. Thus we can say that summation capital Xi square upon summation small xi square would always be greater than 1. Hence, for a large distribution of xi's, the variance would be larger. Also, a higher homoscedastic population variance sigma square would mean lower precision, because you can see that we have this in the numerator. Therefore, in order to improve the precision of OLS estimators, we can either increase the sample size or take such an independent variable that does not have a very large size. Of course, some amount of variation is necessary for capturing the variance in beta coefficients, which means all the values of xi should not be equal. Let us now understand about the standard error of estimate, which we can denote as SEE in this section 3.2. Very often in practice you have seen that the population variance is not known, and therefore it has to be substituted by a sample variance term, which is sigma hat square. The square root of the sample variance in our equation 5 is known as the standard error of estimate of the regression. The standard error of estimate measures the extent of the average scatter of actual y values in the sample, which is yi, from their estimated values yi hat. Mathematically, it is given by the square root of the estimated variance term as shown below. So, how do we define sigma hat square? This is equal to summation yi minus y hat whole square divided by n minus 2, which is equal to summation ei square upon n minus 2, and we have denoted it as the fifth formula or fifth equation. We also know that sigma hat square, which is also equal to sigma 0 square, is an unbiased estimator of sigma square. Now here we divide by n minus 2, because while estimating the value of summation ei square, which is equal to summation yi minus y hat square and is equal to summation yi minus b0 minus b1 xi square, we have two constraints, which are we need to first calculate b0 and b1 before we can obtain a summation ei square. So in this process, we lose 2 degrees of freedom, which we define as DOF, and therefore the number of free observations left with us is n minus 2. So the standard error of estimate is mathematically given by the under root of summation ei square divided by n minus 2, and we have written it as our sixth equation. Now, it is the standard deviation or scatter of y values about the regression line and is an appropriate measure of the goodness of fit. You will see, and I am sure you can notice from this, the smaller the value of a standard error, better will be the goodness of fit. So, let me repeat and emphasize, smaller is the standard error of or SEE, better will be the goodness of fit, and vice versa, which means the larger is the value, lower would be the goodness of fit. Let us now understand about the coefficient of determination, which is also a very important concept and we have to learn how to find out this coefficient of determination. Now, while the standard error of estimate is the standard deviation of observed y values about the predicted values, R square compares the actual or observed values to its mean value. The coefficient of determination is believed to be a more standardized measure of the goodness of fit as compared to the standard error of estimate, as the latter is sensitive to the units of measurement of the dependent variable. Let me explain this further. We are aware that our regression line seldom fits the data perfectly, which means that it may not pass through each and every scattered points of the sample. We always witness some deviations which could be both positive and negative of data points from the regression line. So what we are saying is your data points may be above the regression line, some of them could be below the regression line. And we would always therefore want the positive and negative deviations to be as small as possible. That is the objective. Now, that is the regression line should be able to fit the data as well and as close as is possible. Now, an alternative that provides a numerical value to this closeness of fit is known as the coefficient of determination, and it is represented by capital R square. R square theoretically you will find measures the extent of variation in the dependent variable y that is explained by the variation or that is explained by the independent variable x. For example, if the value of R square is equal to 0.81, it implies that 81% of the variation in dependent variable is explained by the independent variable, leaving the remaining 19% to be unexplained, because the total has to be 100%. In other words, R square shows the percentage of deviation explained by the regression line. The total variation in y value, I am sure you know, is denoted as summation yi minus y bar square, which is also written as summation small yi square. Let me remind you, I am sure by now you would all be familiar that these small values xi, yi, etc. are always in terms of the deviations from their arithmetic mean. Now, this summation yi square is the total squared deviation about the mean value, and it can be decomposed into two parts. As we know that capital Yi is equal to yi hat plus ei is the error term, or which is the unexplained part. So you will find that summation yi minus y bar square is the total variation in actual y values from their mean and is known as total sum of the squares, or we also call it as TSS. So if I go back and look at summation yi minus y bar square, it can be written to be equal to summation, let's say yi hat plus ei minus y bar square. So what we have done is we can substitute the value of yi equal to yi hat plus ei in this formula. Now, once we substitute this, and if we rearrange the terms which are on this side, right hand side, we can rewrite summation yi minus y bar to be equal to summation yi hat minus y bar plus ei whole square. Now, so we have two terms, one you may presume to be a, the other to be b, and the square of these will be a square plus b square plus 2ab. Using that formula, we can say the right hand side is now equal to summation yi hat minus y bar whole square plus summation ei square plus twice summation yi hat minus y bar into ei. Now, if we continue with this, we can see that this will be equal to summation yi hat minus y bar square plus summation ei square plus twice summation yi hat ei minus twice y bar into summation ei. As summation yi hat ei and summation ei is equal to 0 as per the assumptions of the classical linear regression model, so what we now obtain is summation yi minus y bar square now is equal to summation yi hat minus y bar square plus summation ei square. Now this is our equation 7. So what we are saying is that summation yi hat minus y bar square is nothing but the variation of estimated y values about their mean, and this is known as explained sum of the squares or ESS, as this variation is explained by the regression line. However, the second term, which is summation ei square, is nothing but the sum of the squares of the residuals, which are called as the residual sum of the squares and are denoted by RSS. Therefore, you may see that the total sum of the squares TSS is equal to explained sum of the squares ESS plus the residual sum of the squares RSS. Now, this relationship we are defining as the eighth relationship or eighth equation. The RSS is unexplained sum of the squares. Dividing both sides, say, or in our seventh equation by summation yi minus y bar square, you will find what we obtain is that 1 is equal to summation yi hat minus y bar square upon summation yi minus y bar square plus summation ei square upon summation yi minus y bar square, which means we get 1 equal to explained sum of the squares upon total sum of the squares plus residual sum of the squares upon total sum of the squares. Now this is defined as equation 9. In this equation 9, the first term on the right hand side, the explained sum of the squares upon total sum of the squares, is defined to be equal to r square, which is the coefficient of determination as defined by the equation above. If we rearrange this equation 9, you will find we can also write down that explained sum of the squares over total sum of the squares is equal to 1 minus residual sum of the squares upon total sum of the squares, which means we can say that r square is equal to 1 minus summation ei square divided by summation yi minus y bar square. This is our 10th equation. You will find that r square is a non-negative quantity because it is the square of a term, and its value now you can see would lie between 0 and 1. So when fit is perfect, that is all observed and predicted y values coincide, that is for all observations i's, then you will find that yi is equal to yi hat, or summation yi minus y bar square is equal to summation yi hat minus y bar square, and therefore our summation ei square is equal to 0. Hence you will find in such situations r square would be 1. What does it imply? It implies all variation in y is explained by x and none remains unexplained, which is a perfect scenario which may not exist in very many situations. So if there is no relationship, however, between y and x, then you will find r square would be 0, which means x does not explain any variation in y. The model in that case is said to be a poor fit. Hence, the coefficient of non-determination in that case is defined to be equal to 1 minus r square. Therefore, we find that B0 and B1 must be chosen in such a manner so as to maximize r square. So we can see that the OLS technique that minimizes the sum of the squares of residuals, summation ei square, automatically maximizes r square, as shown by the relation between r square and summation ei square in our equation 10. Let's now try to understand in this section about the coefficient of determination as the square of coefficient of correlation. We have just now learned that the coefficient of determination, that is R square, is the proportion of the explained variation in the dependent variable y due to independent variable x. That is, it is a measure of goodness of fit between the actual values of yi and the estimated values of y, which is yi hat. In other words, higher the value of R square, it implies better fit and therefore a high correlation between yi and yi hat. So what is coefficient of correlation? Coefficient of correlation between any two variables is equal to the ratio of their covariance divided by their standard deviations, which is a standard formula which we can write down as R, y and or R between y and y hat is equal to covariance between yi and yi hat divided by the under root of them, which is some under root summation yi minus y bar y bar square divided by n into under root of summation yi hat minus y bar square divided by n. Now you can see that therefore Rxy is equal to summation yi minus y bar into yi hat minus y bar, because that is the covariance, where we also have a divisor by n, but that will cancel out with the n's in the denominator. So let me continue, and what I am saying is, let me repeat that the R between yi and yi hat is equal to summation yi minus y bar into yi hat minus y bar upon under root of summation yi minus y bar square into under root of summation yi hat minus y bar square. This I am denoting as equation 11. Therefore, we can rewrite this as R is equal to summation small yi into small yi hat upon under root of summation small yi square into under root of summation small yi hat square, where the symbols have their usual meaning, which we have explained earlier, that these small letters are nothing but the values from their, or the deviations from their arithmetic mean. So let us consider the numerator, which is summation yi minus y bar into yi hat minus y bar. This we are saying could also be rewritten as summation yi hat plus ei minus y bar into yi hat minus y bar. So what we have done is we have substituted the value of yi equal to yi hat plus ei in our first term. Now this gives us the two terms if you multiply them together, and we obtain summation yi hat minus y bar plus ei into yi hat minus y bar, and we have this summation outside both these terms, and this is nothing but equal to summation of yi hat minus y bar square plus ei into yi hat minus y bar. So we have, again let me repeat, summation outside both these terms. Now continuing with this, we can rewrite this as summation of whole of yi hat minus y bar square plus ei yi hat minus ei y bar, and this therefore could be written to be equal to summation yi hat minus y bar square plus summation ei yi hat minus y bar into summation ei. These three terms we have obtained because we have opened the bracket and the summation is now taken with all the three terms which we had earlier. And if you simplify this last equation and substitute the value which we have earlier discussed, that the middle term, or in a way which is summation yi hat into ei is equal to 0, then we find that this could be simplified. And similarly, we know that summation ei is 0. If you also substitute this, then both these are further simplified. Therefore, what we obtain as the covariance is nothing but equal to summation yi hat minus y bar square, and this is nothing but equal to summation yi hat square, where yi now is a small y, and maybe I can explain it and say that yi hat is nothing but capital yi hat minus capital Y bar. Now similarly, substituting the value above of this in our above formula of the coefficient of correlation, we can redefine that coefficient. Now it is equal to r y and yi hat, or r between y and yi hat is equal to summation yi hat square divided by under root of summation small yi square into under root of summation small yi hat square. Now on simplification, perhaps we can say that r is now therefore equal to under root of summation yi hat square upon under root of summation yi square, because you will find that the numerator and the under root of the second term in the denominator is same, so they cancel out and we get only the under root in the numerator also now. If you square both these sides, then we find that r square therefore now comes out to be equal to summation yi hat square upon summation small yi square, and again the numerator is nothing but explained sum of the squares and the denominator is total sum of the squares, and therefore this small r square comes out to be equal to the capital R square as we have proved above. So what we are saying therefore is that the coefficient of determination R square is the square of the coefficient of correlation small r between actual and estimated values of yi. We can learn this through an example. Let's take an example in this section 4.2. Let us consider a simple example where observed values of the dependent variable y and independent variable x are given, let's say, in a tabular form. So we have the values of x from 1 to 6, we have the values of y, let's say they are 10, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, you can see in the second column, and by applying OLS to these two, assuming all the assumptions are satisfied, you can find out the predicted values of y, and they are given in your third column. You can see these values. I need not read them, I am sure here. So what is the residual EI, which we can calculate is nothing but the difference between the second column and the third column, because EI is equal to yi minus predicted value, which is y hat. So 10 minus 7.14, 2857 is equal to 2.8571, which is our first cell value of the error term. Similarly, you can calculate all these yi minus y hat from the second and the third column. We get this set of values of EI. If you square them, then we can in our next column write down the values of EI square, which are 8 point something and so on. And I am sure you can see if you add them together, what you obtain is in our last row after the sixth row, which is the seventh row in a way, you get 17.1428. I am sure similarly you can see that we can find out the total sum of the squares TSS, which comes out to be equal to 254991 2581, and the sum total is equal to 190. Now similarly we have the explained sum of the squares, in fact which could also be calculated as the difference between total sum of the squares minus the explained sum of the squares, and we can see that the explained sum of the squares in this case is coming out to be equal to 61.73, 22 point something and so on. We have these explained sum of the squares. In the next column we have explained sum of the squares, which is nothing but the predicted y or y hat minus y bar. Y bar is in this example equal to 15. So the first cell value is nothing but equal to 7.0 14857 minus 15 and it's a square. Now this comes out to be equal to 61.73, 22.22 and so on, and the sum total is equal to 172.85. In our next column, we have a small xi square, where small xi is nothing but xi minus x bar. Xi is, you can see in the first column from 1 to 6, and if you take x bar, it will come out to be equal to 3.5. So the first cell value is nothing but 1 minus 3.5 whole square. Now this comes out to be equal to 6.25. Similarly, I am sure you can see we have second value which is 2.25, third, fourth, all these values which are, let me again emphasize, is nothing but the square of xi minus x bar. In our last column, we have capital Xi square, which means the square of the each value which we have in our first column, which means the square of 1, square of 2, square of 3. So the sum total of this last column is 91. Having calculated all this, we can substitute these values and find out our R square and standard error, etc. We have also, since we said earlier, we used OLS to our y and x, also have obtained the regression equation, which is written in this one of the rows here, and is equal to 4 plus 3.14 xi. So what is the regression equation using OLS? We can say yi hat now is equal to 4 plus 3.14 xi. The predicted values of y are obtained by putting the different values of x in this equation, and the difference between the observed value of y and predicted value of y are nothing but the residual values. So coming back to the formulas and the substitution, we find that SEE, which is standard error, which is defined to be equal to under root of sigma or summation EI square upon n minus 2, comes out to be equal to under root of 17.142 divided by 4 and is equal to 2.071. So why do we have 4? Because our total number of observations are 6, so n minus 2 comes out to be equal to 4. Now similarly, we can see that our R square is explained sum of the squares divided by total sum of the squares. Substituting the values from the table, we get R square equal to 172.857 divided by 190, and this comes out to be equal to 0.909. To calculate the values of the standard error of the coefficients, we can enter the relevant values in our formula, which is given below and which we have discussed earlier. So let me first come back to the standard error of B1, which is equal to sigma hat upon under root of summation xi square. Substituting the values, we get this equal to 2.071 divided by under root of 17.5, and this is equal to 0.494872. Similarly, standard error of intercept coefficient can also be obtained, which is nothing but a standard error B0, and after substitution in the formula, what we obtain is this comes out to be equal to under root of 91 divided by 6 into 17.5, and whole of this is multiplied by 2.0711, and on simplification this comes out to be equal to 1.927249. Now this is what we obtain as the standard error of B0. So we have now both the standard errors, which is of B0 and B1. So I hope looking at this example, perhaps you understand how these standard errors and R square can be calculated. So let us summarize what we have learned today in this module. We have learned that the precision of OLS estimators are measured by their standard errors, which are the square root of their variances. Second thing we have learned is that the goodness of fit of the regression line is measured by the standard error of estimate, which is the square root of the residual sum of the squares divided by the relevant degrees of freedom. We have also learned that the standard error of estimate, SEE, is not independent of the units of measurement of the dependent variable. This is by definition. We have also learned that a more standardized measure of goodness of fit is the coefficient of determination, denoted as capital R square, which is nothing but the square of the coefficient of correlation. And in the end, I am sure you would recollect, we have learned that the coefficient of determination measures the extent of the variation in the dependent variable as explained by the independent variable.